Our next speaker is no stranger to the podium, as they spend a significant portion of their time speaking about and advocating on behalf of individuals with disabilities. If that were not enough, they have participated in 8 different Special Olympic sports over the past 7 years, as well as the Miss Amazing pageant. I am sure that you will agree that amazing is an accurate description of our speaker. Please join me in providing a warm LETR welcome for Nori Barnes of Special Olympics, Illinois.
Hello, my name is Nori Barnes. Despite not looking like most people think people with disabilities look like, I actually do have an intellectual disability. I have been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, savantism, Tourette's, sensory processing disorder, selective mutism, and a developmental delay. Today I am here to tell you a little about myself, including how I overcame selective mutism, survived human trafficking, and how Special Olympics Illinois and the law enforcement truck run has not only changed my life, but also my view of police officers. I joined Special Olympics, sometimes called SO, in 2016 by playing volleyball at the Belvedere Park District. At the beginning of my participation, I was struggling to communicate, talk, and understand due to overcoming selective mutism. Selective mutism is a severe anxiety disorder where a person is unable to speak in certain social situations, such as with classmates, at school, or a relative they might not always see. It usually starts during childhood, and if left untreated, can persist into adulthood. Now, this was not because I don't have anything to say, because believe me, if you know me, I always have something to say. But it wasn't always that way. Due to my home life, I had felt over the years that nobody thought what I had to say meant anything because of my disabilities. I was frequently told that children should be seen and not heard, and that if you could not keep a secret, you should not speak. My selective mutism was unfortunately the result of severe trauma. That trauma was, I was a victim of human trafficking. I was sold, starting at the age of 9, by my biological father to men that he knew. This turned into him selling me into an arranged marriage, and finally me being sold into a trafficking ring. Many people with intellectual and developmental disabilities who were abused, their abusers are the people closest to them. I survived. I survived 15 months in a trafficking ring where the traffickers used the fear of police as a hold over me. I was constantly told police officers were the bad guys, and because of what I was living through, I believed it. I escaped barely, and now to combat my survivor's guilt, I advocate for victims and survivors of human trafficking. I spent years learning to become a survivor and no longer a victim. Did you know many victims of human trafficking have intellectual and/or developmental disabilities? According to a study done by Florida Department of Health in 2018, 28% of those victims had intellectual and/or developmental disabilities. To put that into perspective for you, in Belvedere, where I reside here in Illinois, and according to the most recent US Census, 32% of my town's population under the age of 65 have a life-lasting, altering disability. Those are staggering numbers. At the same time I started with Special Olympics, I started working with law enforcement torch run, which is also referred to as LETR. Let me tell you, I was terrified during my first torch run event. As I stated, I grew up very afraid of police officers. I saw police officers as strangers in uniforms. They were at times, at no fault of their own, loud because they had to take control of situations that had gotten out of hand. That gets pretty scary. But that all changed when I started seeing how police officers interacted with my friends and teammates at Special Olympics. It allowed me to start relaxing around them a bit more. As a matter of fact, Police Officer Pat Hoey recently reminded me of the first time I participated in Cop on a Rooftop. He was there with me the entire time and commented on how I came in and made myself known, asking where I was needed. That is a very memorable time in my life, and I am grateful for such positive interactions from the start. I feel most comfortable in situations that I feel nervous in when I'm given tasks to help with. Because I know this about myself, I tend to have what's seen as a take charge attitude. Police officers like Pat Hoey and Sergeant Amy Williams from Huntley have allowed me to see them not only as regular humans, but as friends and even my family. If it was not for SO and LETR, I would not be the advocate that I am today. I'd also like to mention I would not be able to be in college either. I also feel that I would not have been able to ask for help like I can now. Without the blessings of police officers in my life, my involvement in LETR has allowed me to learn from my trauma in my life and find safety in police officers. As a matter of fact, earlier last year, I got lost in the mall. My phone had died. I didn't know how to get to where I was supposed to have Mom pick me up. Thankfully, I saw a police officer I recognized, and I was able to ask her for help. She got me to the doors, called my mom to let her know the situation, and even waited for me with Mom to pull up. She never once made me feel inferior or like I was wasting her time. She reassured me every step of the way and even made me more comfortable by asking about my SO events. I would never have been able to trust her enough to ask for help if it wasn't for my involvement in SO and LETR. To many people, that interaction may seem small or trivial, and maybe it is to most. But to me, the fact that she took the time to make me feel safe and comfortable and ask me about my events meant everything to me. I wasn't a person with a disability to her. I was another human. Those interactions make people like myself with disabilities who may need help or be in a situation where we need to interact with police officers more comfortable. I now compete in a wide variety of sports, including, and this is a long list, I apologize, you were warned, track and field, bocce, bowling, golf skills, softball, basketball, volleyball, and snowshoe. Wow, that's a mouthful. I also help with law enforcement torch run, Cop on a Rooftop, Texas Roadhouse, and many others. I found a place in the world where I belong because of SO, and I found my ambition. Thanks to SO and LETR, I learned that I wanted to be the voice for others with disabilities that I wish I had growing up. I advocate for myself and others so nobody has to believe they cannot accomplish their dreams and goals. I am so humbled to share my story with all of you today. If my words reach just one of you, then I have done my job as an athlete leader. Thank you for your time. You all are wonderful.